There are lots of rules and there are lots of subrules, so it's not that much different than regular IUPAC nomenclature. When we talk about benzene nomenclature, there are lots of rules and there are lots of subrules, so it's not that much different than regular IUPAC nomenclature. Before we get into all the weeds and all the rules and subrules of benzene nomenclature, there's one thing we need to say right at the beginning. Some benzene derivatives have their own special name, a common name, a name that we've used since antiquity, so they've become the IUPAC accepted name for these molecules. I've got several of them listed here. There are more than this, but these are the important ones. And in fact, the ones I've highlighted in orange, these are the ones you really need to memorize. The ones in blue, either I think the name is kind of obvious, benzoic acid, benzaldehyde, or they're less common and you may not even encounter them in your course. But the ones in orange you need to know. Toluene, phenol, anisole, aniline, acetophenone. These are names that you need to know. Now, for each of these molecules, I also have the exact systematic IUPAC name listed in parentheses, but you should never use these terms. Nobody ever calls these molecules these terms. We only ever use the common name for these molecules. And this will be important later when we get to the subrules. There are three scenarios where we name benzene rings. The benzene ring can be monosubstituted, disubstituted, or polysubstituted. For monosubstituted benzene rings, if the benzene ring has a substituent that's one of those common names, then you just name it the common name. If the benzene ring has a substituent that's not one of the common names, then you name that substituent just like you would on any other molecule, either a chloro group or an isopropyl group or an isobutyl group or a t-butyl group or a nitro group or an ethoxy group, whatever it happens to be, and you name that as a substituent on benzene. If the group coming off the benzene ring is sufficiently complicated, if it's not just a simple substituent on a benzene ring, then we flip it around and we name the hydrocarbon as the parent and the benzene ring as a phenyl substituent on the longer parent hydrocarbon. Now, this is not a video on how to name these simple substituents or how to name more complicated hydrocarbons. I have a whole playlist on IUPAC nomenclature that I'll link to down below. For disubstituted benzene rings, if one of those substituents is one of those common name substituents, then we make that position 1, and we name the other substituent as just a regular common substituent. We use the terms ortho, meta, and para to depict how far away one group is from another. Ortho groups are right next to each other, meta groups are spaced by 1 carbon, and para groups are across the molecule from each other. We use the common name as the parent of the molecule, and we use ortho, meta, or para to tell how far away the simple substituent is away from the common parent. If neither substituent is part of a common name parent, then we take each substituent individually. We number to give the alphabetically first substituent carbon number 1, and we number around the ring accordingly. And then we can either use the position numbers, or more commonly, we still use ortho, meta, or para to tell how far apart those two groups are from each other. For polysubstituted benzenes, again, if one of those substituents is one of our common name parents, then we make that carbon number 1, and we number to give the lowest overall set of numbers. We use those numbers to list the positions of the substituents relative to the common name parent as the root of the molecule. Finally, if it's polysubstituted and none of the substituents are part of a common name backbone, we number to give the lowest overall set of numbers. So in this first example, 1, 2, 4 is the lowest overall set. Even though we can number it a couple of different ways, 1, 2, 4 gives us the lowest overall set of numbers for this molecule. And like all other naming, we list the substituents in alphabetical order. So there you have it. Yes, there's rules and subrules, but it's very algorithmic. As long as you can figure out which case you're looking at, then you know the rules for benzene nomenclature.
Thanks for watching. The best way you can support this channel is to let your friends know about these videos, especially ones who go to different schools. Help spread the word around the country. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe.